is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 51. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast. No E today. I did hear somebody call him E. James at the stadium last night, but we are joined by one half of the North End captain duo. He's been on the North End before. You all know him as Brian Hensley, or maybe Stonehens22 on Twitter. So I guess we'll throw that in there, aka Stonehens22. It's Brian Hensley. B, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. As always, voice day after, you know.
Yeah, same.
So, but I'm feeling good. It is a beautiful day here. Got to recover a little bit. Had a lot of fun last night, and I know we'll get into it. But I'm feeling good.
Yeah, man, people were giving me shit last night because I think the last 20 minutes of that match, I had screamed so much that anytime I screamed after that, my voice was cracking more than it normally does. But that's a good thing because the last couple matches at Q2, I don't think I had walked away with, bruised vocal cords. It was just bruised ego or fandom. And so obviously last night, Austin FC, unless you've been living under a rock, like Patrick, Austin FC 2-2 draw at home last night against the San Jose Earthquakes. Still no victories against those pesky Quakes. But I think some reasons for optimism, and I would say frustrated optimism, because when I left the stadium last night, Brian, we can just go ahead and get into it. We'll bounce around, as we typically do as we work our way through the game here. But from a wide view, leaving the stadium yesterday, it was a really weird feeling for me personally as a fan and in my experience of this third season, because I certainly felt better walking out of there than I had the last two times, Colorado and then Vancouver. But I also still felt like we should have gotten 3 points. So I guess, how did you feel walking out of there last night? A point, like, we came back twice, equalized twice, but it really felt like the team played well enough to walk out of there with a win, and we're left not empty-handed, but we dropped points, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can hear my dog barking.
That's a North End, yeah. we welcome all pups here.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I felt like I agree with what Wolff said post-game conference. We played well to get 3 points. There were some mental mistakes that caused us to lose those 2 points, right? Mm-hmm. So I would just say, like, it felt good to see the team actually fighting. I was really upset after the Galaxy, after those two big, huge mental mistakes. You saw the team basically just go in. And yeah, so I have to say I'm happy that it ended the way it did. We were down twice and we equalized twice, and we scrapped a point out of it. At least we didn't lose. Yeah. Last time we lost at home was the home opener. So
yeah,
let's turn it back into it.
And hey, man, it's if you have not recalibrated your expectations around the form of this team as it has been through the first 2 months of the season, because we are now 2 months into the regular season, then you probably aren't with us on being able to take some positives out of last night, because certainly in February, this is a match on the schedule that you think you should get 3 points out of. But again, we'll talk about it. I guess we'll break down more why we feel like there's some reason to be optimistic looking forward. The first thing I do want to talk about, though, and there's multiple topics that I'm really glad you're here, because you are more of an expert on certain things, or you have been in the presence of certain things that I wanted to discuss. Let's talk first about the Willie Nelson Tifo from last night, because I know you're team Tifo. You're always involved in that aspect of Los Verdes. So I believe you were over there, hoisting the Tifo as you typically do when we have one to display. So I guess just talk to me from the start. because you know a lot of that stuff is kept under wraps and it's confidential until it's unveiled. What was the process like this time for this Willie Tifo, and where did that? I guess his birthday, right?
Yep, absolutely. It was a celebration for his 90th birthday. Also, there was, I don't know if you saw it it was kind of towards the bottom, but on the bandana it said Legalize Verde.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
The North End Pod agrees.
Yeah, innuendos there, which was awesome. First of all, I want to shout out the artist Beth at Beth B Art, I think,
Nice. Okay.
on Instagram and Twitter. I think she's on Twitter. Anyways, she's the artist. She did a wonderful job of collaborating with Team Taupe Front from Los Verdes. And the project manager was Natalie Guidry, I believe is her last name.
Okay.
So shout out to those ladies. It was the very first ever woman artist for Tifos. So
nice.
Congratulations there. And they just kicked ass. So basically what happens is you know, the design elements happen, the team Tifo like committee meets on it, and then we say here's the process that we need, and here's how long we have. This was 4 weeks. Like we officially started March 27th, I think it was. So over that time, there's a set amount of leads. I was one of the leads, along with, I think it was about 12 other Los Verdes members leaded, 12 to 15. I can't place exactly how many because we all work different shifts.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. But hundreds of volunteers.
Nice.
People coming out, donating their time and energy to help us create this amazing thing, creates this awesome feeling of community. And it looks so cool. You've seen it come together. I don't know if you got to see the video that Noah, he was our kind of aerial photographer. He had it looked awesome. Like it was so cool to see it like get into place and things like that. And it was just a fun time, man. I had the ability to do like most of the detail work around the mouth.
Nice.
And Beth was, kind of there just doing most of the face and everything. So, it was an awesome time. It's always a fun experience. We always look forward to the next one. So be looking out for it,
There it was displayed in all of its glory. So hey, that section around the mouth looks extra sharp. So I guess I had one more question about it as somebody who wasn't involved, and I think that's something that E and we were discussing over the last couple of weeks as we saw the posts calling for hey, come volunteer and help paint and help out with the project. Something we definitely want to get involved in. For one of the upcoming ones this season. On the sunglasses, is that tinfoil or is it really shiny paint? Because I thought that was a great touch.
Great call out. So that was actually a fabric.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So there was a fabric that was purchased. We had played with the idea of just having the aviators black. But then we were like, what if we mirrored them? And we were able to find this fabric, and Beth and Moises and Alex were the ones who worked on attaching them. But yeah, they look awesome. Like, of course, from the back, like that's the one thing is I work on these and I don't get to really see it from the front when it goes up, but it looks so cool. Like, I was wondering how the eyes or the sunglasses were going to look from everybody's vantage point. So that's awesome.
Well, and and I'm looking from the north end, which is about as far away as you need people to see it, and it looked great. And again, like the glasses stood out to me, so I'm glad you could clear that up for me. And shout out to you and everybody else who sacrificed not just their time and energy and effort making this piece. And like how you guys do for every Tifo, but then the effort to go and hoist it up, and you don't even get to see it while it's up. So like, Yeah, I know. E and I think the rest of the fan base really appreciates all the effort and time that you guys put in. So that was really cool. Appreciate you sharing with us a little bit more about that process. And again, if anybody listening wants to get involved with that, if you're not a member of one of the supporters groups, Los Verdes, Anthem, what have you, join one of those. It becomes a lot easier to be in the know about those type of things, but you can also just keep your eyes out on their various social media channels. They will put out the call when it is time for the next one. So let's get into something that had, it had the fan spaces buzzing, and that was the 11 yesterday. Folks have been calling for Coach Wolff to make certain changes to the lineup, whether it's benching Emiliano Rigoni or it's benching his son, Owen Wolff, or what have you, debates over who should start up top. We certainly saw some changes yesterday. Two of the more notable ones. Number one, Rodney Redis in there for Ethan Finley. That was a change up front from last weekend. We saw Johan Valencia did in fact get in there for Owen Wolff. And then Adam Lundqvist was in for John Gallagher. And so I guess what were your takeaways when you first saw that starting lineup come out? Because it was eyebrow raising to say the least.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was definitely intriguing. That was the first. I was like, oh, this is intriguing. We got a Redis start, which for how he played in the previous game when he came on, I believe he deserved a chance. Right? We're mixing it up. Ethan, we know what Ethan gives us. So what is a Redis start going to give us? So I appreciated seeing that. Same thing with Lundqvist. I think John getting a little breather, knowing that we're going to have, 3 games back to back coming up. Yeah. 3 games in 7 days. So maybe give him a little rest. But yeah, it was good. I'm glad Valencia got a chance to start. I've been interested to see what he can do. Because he does bring a good presence in the midfield, like something that we miss when Alex Ring isn't in the midfield, right? So I was happy to see him there.
He definitely makes it a little bit more physical, right? The physicality of the defensive midfield is ratcheted up when you bring Johan in there for Owen. And I think your point about the upcoming schedule and getting some of these guys time, like Josh also touched on that in the post game where he was like, hey man, like we have all these games coming up because it's not just the 7 that are on the schedule, but if you win against New Mexico United, that round of 16 Open Cup is also in May. So potentially 8 games on the schedule here in the month of May. And I think not just to get guys like Redis and Adam minutes, but minutes with those starters, right? Because we're going to see some mixing and matching here out of necessity over the next few weeks. And like, even if Julio comes back and is 100% ready to go and Diego, beats his timeline and he returns sometime in May, you're still going to see rotation throughout this month. So with that new lineup, I believe it was Rodney Redis' first start since the 2021 season, if I recall correctly. So with Rodney, we charged into this one. Not a ton of action to start this game off. Really, first notable play for me, was 8th minute. Maxi establishes position kind of next to a loose ball outside of San Jose's penalty area, gets the call, and then I think I'll shout out Big Fudge in front of us in section 123. He kind of turned around and was asking, who is taking free kicks now, especially within range with Fagundes out, and it answered very quickly. Rigoni and Seba both lined up over it. Rigoni is the one ended up faking at it. Seba shoots it right into the noggin of Jonathan Mensah, who goes down for a few minutes. But, it was good to see that aggression out there. And maybe we find some success on free kicks outside of Diego because, we really have just been one-dimensional in terms of the guys on the team who can be a threat on net from that range. It's only been Diego. And we know he does it at a rate that is elite in this league. But maybe we can get number 10 or number 7 to get a little bit more confidence. And that's only going to help us, going forward in terms of teams scouting us on free kicks. Mensah, by the way, obviously was fine. I think came off for a few seconds before he was waved back on by Guido Gonzalez, who was the head official last night. And another point of why I'm glad you're here, certified official Brian Hensley. I don't think I've seen Guido Gonzalez do one of our games and me walk away really satisfied with his performance. Coach Wolff was not satisfied with him either. And this is the first chance, I think, minute 17, where I thought he started losing it. Cade Cowell kicks Rodney Redis in the head. And I understand, especially from replays, like coming home, watching going through the rewatch this morning, foul was called on the replay. It's not like he puts his entire cleats into his head. But to have your boot up that high isn't, to me, I feel like by definition, that's a card. What was your take on that foul, but Guido not going to his pocket there?
Yeah, reckless is a yellow. If you're out of control like that, that's the whole point of a referee, is to keep control of the game and keep everybody in control of themselves. So the fact that that was a reckless foul, it was a foul, and if it deems reckless, then a yellow card should be shown by the book. Again, always it's up for interpretation, and the center official is always the last word.
Right.
So unless VAR gets involved, which they wouldn't have probably got involved in that, but yeah, I agree with your assessment on Guido too. I can't say that I've ever walked away super satisfied when he's officiated our games, but I've always respected it because he typically has kept control, for the most part.
Yeah,
he is card happy. We know that. We know he's a card happy, and that's how he keeps control. Yeah. But yeah, he lost it pretty much from then. You're going to let people get boots to the face? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know this rival? I say rivalry. It's just because we haven't beat them.
It's rivalry for us. There's certainly been some shithousery in this matchup, though. I mean, you vividly remember Julio rolling, I forget who it was, but rolled their guy off the field, and he rolls back on. And that was 2021. But we never forget.
And the elbow, whenever he took that one shot and ran that one guy over because he went after one of our guys, it runs deep, and they're always tough for us. We always have a problem with them, which you got to respect them. They got a good lineup. They know how to play their ball.
Especially Jeremy Abobasi and Christian Espinoza, man. I saw in the rewatch a stat that Apple put down there: 74.6 of the Earthquakes goals since the beginning of last season contributed, or there is a contribution on 75% of their goals by one of those two guys since the beginning of last season. So yeah, and like you said, he's card happy, but no card comes out in this one until the 68th minute. Maybe he should have given one there. And I think there was probably on the other side in the first half an opportunity to maybe show a yellow to one of the Austin guys too, because it was a physical game. 21st minute, San Jose build up, Espinoza's cross finds Montero. His shot is blocked by Ring, but then the Quakes get it back on the rebound, kind of out to the right side of Austin's 18. And then Akapo, I think I'm mispronouncing that. They said it differently on the broadcast, and I can't off the top of my head remember the inflection there. But Carlos Akapo was one of their key acquisitions in the offseason and has been great for them. He ends up actually going down non-contact hamstring injury later in the match. So that's probably going to be a significant blow for the Quakes. But, it was 21st minute here, and he gets onto it, slots it in between Danny and Lundqvist, right to Jackson Ewell. And Ewell turns and fires a fantastic strike past Stuver. There's not much Brad can do about that when Lundqvist and I think maybe Johan Valencia not covering for Adam there in the best fashion. Just one of the two mental lapses on the night that just killed Austin's chances of coming out of here with a win. But I give a lot of credit to Yule there on the finish because that was a great shot.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's unstoppable. I used to play goalkeeper too. Like it's like when you have that shot, it's you do everything you can. Your job's to block the, cut off the angles. So yeah, hats off to Jackson Yule. That was an amazing shot. But yeah, that was the minute when I realized Adam Lundqvist isn't going to be able to survive the rest of this game. Like the way he was running back on that overhead, I was like, he's already done. He's already gassed. Yeah. So I was like, he's probably going to be subbed at halftime. I even turned to Mike. I was like, they need to sub him at halftime. He's already gassed. And it's, what'd you say, 21? Minute 21. So it's just like, yeah, I think what our fullbacks don't understand, or some of our fullbacks don't understand, is that like to be a fullback on this type of squad with this type of tactics, you have to not only be fast, you have to have a lot of endurance because that's your job. It's just back and forth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Johan could have probably closed down on Yule a little bit quicker. I think he gave him a little space to make that turn. Yeah. So, cutting him off as opposed to backing up, it's, what do you do though?
I mean, it doesn't make it any easier if you're Adam Lundqvist that Christian Espinoza is running down your throat the entire match or the entire first half since he was subbed there. 3 minutes later, though, Adam did his best to make up for that mistake. Redis takes a foul on the left side, probably 10, 15 yards outside their 18. Rigoni crosses in that ensuing free kick. It gets headed away, but it falls right to Lundqvist. And he kind of left-footed volley, almost Gallagher-esque. We've seen Gallagher do that a couple times from a similar spot. It goes wide right, but it was not a bad shot. I was fine with that one, and we'll talk about somebody like Johan Valencia and his shot selection later, which I don't think was quite as cheeky. 37th minute, sustained Austin build up here. They did not control the possession in the first half as well as they did in the second half, but this is really where it started to turn. I think in terms of the momentum, and you look at any of the game flow charts on the various sites, and that kind of bears out in that data as well. Valencia takes a shot, like I said, from about 30 yards and goes over the goal. I thought it was an extremely poor decision given the sustained buildup that we had. We're able to, it felt like that possession was maybe a little over a minute, and for it to just die on that shot attempt from Valencia, he can do better.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree.
2 minutes later, poor Danny Pereira pass leads to an Earthquakes breakaway. Not the only poor turnover from Mr. Pereira last night. Espinoza gets free on the right side, puts a great ball in. We were very lucky that Jeremy Ebobisse cut the opposite way from where Espinoza placed that cross because he put it right across the face of goal. And if Ebobisse had cut towards the left instead of the near post, I think he's slotting that home fairly easily. So I thought that was a lucky break for us defensively and for Danny overall, because he didn't get away with it in the second half. Next minute, though, long ball from Danny looking for Rigoni gets headed out for a corner. So again, I think Danny was more good than bad in this game, as he has been, I think, almost every game this season. But this was a game where his couple mistakes were really capitalized upon by the opponent, but bounced right back from it. That long ball headed out for the corner. Adam takes the throw kind of short to Danny, and then Danny crosses it left to right across the box. Rodney Redis gets his head to it. He puts it back across the face of net, and Emiliano Rigoni roofs that motherfucker. His first goal in league play. we went crazy in the North End, man. 394 minutes without an Austin FC goal. That drought is over. 16 games for Emiliano Rigoni in the league. That goal drought is over. And it really felt like, all right, like we're back now. One thing we've noted on the pod over the last few home matches is that the buzz in the stadium has not been the same from 2022 to 2023. I think really after the Montreal match, then we caught Violette's second leg at home, and that disappointment to me had really kept the vibes down from the very high bar that we have set for ourselves as a fan base. And before that Rigoni goal, man, E and I were talking about, it seems like that silence was starting to infect the South End. Not 103, right? And there's still a lot of 102 and 104 that were great, but 01 and 05 looked very quiet, and we're right in front of them. We get all that sound coming right at us in the North End, and it was quiet, and it was quiet in the North End as well. And man, it flipped. That Rigoni goal got us going again, and like through the halftime break, like even up on the concourse, people like everybody had a little bit more juice in the stadium after that. And I think as fans, obviously the players have to give us something to cheer about, right? Yeah. But we also have to remember, and this is not to everybody, right? But mostly everybody else on the East and West side and in the North End as well, we still have to bring that juice, even when things aren't going our way. It was good to feel that buzz in the stadium again, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. And I 100% agree with the statement about that goal lifting. I mean, it was like a shower after, working outside in the dirt and mud all day. And you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. And yeah, it re-energized us. It relit the fire. And I mean, heaven forbid to think of what would have happened if we didn't score this goal or any goal in this game. And our next home game is Dallas. Like, we need that energy. So I'm happy to hear. I always feel like I'm in a little bit of a different like mindset or world, like during the game.
Yeah.
So like, halftime, I kind of get out of it to go do my thing. But then when I'm back in my seat and doing like, it's almost like tunnel vision. Like I have this going on.
Yeah.
And anybody else around me. So I hear people and I see people and things like that. Don't get me wrong. But like, it's good to hear from somebody who's like, actually taking it all in to be like, it sounds great. So
yeah. Halftime, you mentioned the change. John Gallagher does come back in for Adam Lundqvist. And to be honest, like I was glad. Like obviously we saw him on the bench to start the match when the lineup came out, but I had just kind of in the back of my head just like sneaking suspicion, like, man, I hope he didn't tweak something, that there's no sort of like abundance of caution being exercised here because John Gallagher felt some tightness somewhere pregame or something like that. So I think it was more just to what you said at the start here, that we're trying to get Lundqvist integrated a little bit more into the team, get him some game minutes out there as we head into the month of May. 56th minute, Seba leading the break finds Redis on his left. Redis's cross blocked, but then Lima runs onto it, and he has time to cross all the way to that left side to Rigoni, and Rigoni volleys it across the face of goal, but nobody is home. Ends up going out for a corner, but that was just another, like, that was another example of what we saw a lot from Rigoni in the first 3-4 matches of the year, where he was putting a lot of dangerous balls into areas where we should have teammates. And this was just another one where ball is dangerous, but nobody able to get onto the end of it. But it did get a corner. 3 minutes later, building out of the back, break the San Jose press there right up the middle. And I think Danny's the one who gets it out to the left. You've got Seba and Gallagher running down that left and Rigoni hugging the sideline there. And I think in that buildup, I said to our buddy E, I was like, this is the trio we want coming down either side. You got fucking Seba and Rigoni and Johnny. Like, that is a lot of firepower, at least for our current state of affairs. Give and go from John to Driussi and back again. Gallagher takes his shot from the edge of the box. It goes high and wide right, but I have no problem with him taking that shot. I think he certainly could have been a little bit more methodical there, and maybe found a better look, but we've seen him hit tougher shots, and he's still our goals leader. So no problem there. Did you feel anything change in terms of the potency of the offense with that halftime switch?
Yeah. I mean, I think anytime Johnny comes in, like that, like he brings this energy and this fire. Actually, I gotta promote this real quick because
all right,
I'm a self-proclaimed galley gal.
There you go.
Yeah, it'll be going on the cut here pretty soon.
Nice.
But yeah, I love John Gallagher. I used to play left back. A left back.
Bro, you played every position.
Well, goalkeeper and left back, really.
Okay.
But every left back wants to be able to be involved in, or even fullback wants to be able to be involved in an attack. And the fact that he came from an attacker position, he's already got that knowledge. Like, and now he's adding to his game, so he becomes this weapon. And like you said, those three guys coming down a wing. Who are you covering them?
Right.
Right. Are you going to put Espinoza and Yule and your three best guys over there, so nobody else, everybody else is uncovered? So I like it. I like it a lot. I love it when John's on the field. I think he brings a energy. He brings that same demeanor and hard work, and I think this is why he and Seba have such a good relationship, because they have the same mindset. Like, as long as I'm on the field, I'm going. If it's in my territory, I'm going. Like, I'm going after it. I'm not stopping. And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate somebody that doesn't give up. So,
yeah, and like we were saying, in those three guys in such close proximity on a fast break, and the fast break part of it, like that transition game is something that we have not seen a lot of this year, where we saw, I think, more of it certainly last year, more success with it. So even though that didn't turn into a point on the scoreboard, it was just good to see us being threatening like that, and not just with our, horseshoe of mostly sadness. 61st minute, Rigoni working again on the left. That gets poked out for a corner, poked out for a throw, because then Gallagher's long throw gets headed out to Nick Lima at the top of the box, and he one-times it, and it was on frame and forced JT Marcinkowski to parry it away. And I think Marcinkowski was actually able to then scurry back on top of it and send the action back down the field. But Nick Lima putting a shot on frame doesn't happen every game. I mean, it was if he could have pulled off his first goal in a green and black uniform against his former team, it would have been storybook. Maybe just too storybook for the way our season is going at this point. Anything else for you on Nick Lima there? I felt like.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think I'm having some delay issues. All I was going to say is, I totally agree. Usually when Lima sets up for a shot, I'm like, please don't, Lima, please don't. But the fact that he set up for that shot and he took a good shot, he kept his body over the ball, low and hard. That is textbook how they teach you to shoot the ball, low and hard. So I was just happy for him to get it on frame. I wish we would have had guys there on the rebound. That could have been a great goal. But hey, you live and you move on, because that was something to build from.
Well, 3 minutes later, Lima in the action again. It's actually his cross that deflects off Carlos Acapo, and there were shouts for a handball there on the replay. Definitely hit him in the side of his abdomen there. But it goes out for a corner. And again, that starts to become a theme right around this part of the game. Austin starts getting multiple corners, and that's where, and we saw some of that from San Jose last night, where they would get a corner, deflected out for another corner. And that's been an issue for Austin in like each of the last 3 games, where we just cannot clear it out. and it's led to some goals for opponents, particularly out in both LA games. But Austin on the front foot this time. That ensuing corner, Driussi gets to it, deflected out for another corner on the other side this time. That one, San Jose able to hold on and clear the ball out of the area. But again, just Austin really putting pressure on the Quakes and Marcinkowski. 2 minutes later, Driussi to Lima down that right side again. His cross finds Rigoni on the back post. And I think it was Mensah that kind of beat Rigoni just barely to the ball. And Mensah gets it out for another corner. And just, I had in the notes, all the momentum is in Austin's favor right now in the second half. And I think it felt that way live, and it certainly was that way on the rewatch. First yellow card does come out here in the 68th. Montero took out Danny from behind, gets a yellow. And then the next minute they put in Miguel Trauco for Cade Cowell. I think I saw you and Mike giving Cade Cowell the business as he walked down behind the north end net there. And as you should, just doing your job down there.
Absolutely. I don't know if you ever hear us. We also call Marcinkowski Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, so I don't know. Did you hear that kind of some of the other people in 123 started picking up on that?
Oh, no, I didn't. That's
yeah,
great.
There was people right behind us who I don't know if it was their first match or not. It seemed like they were kind of new to it. New soccer, but like maybe hadn't been to Q2 before. They were on top of that as well. And I know our buddy on Twitter, Barely Regal, gave you guys props for that as well. It was good to see him able to be back in the stadium with his fam. Yeah. 72nd minute, we get some changes here, more changes for Austin. Zardes and Wolff come in for Urruti and Valencia. And then that stoppage actually was caused by Akapo going down with that hamstring injury. So Thompson comes in for him. Yeah, I mean, that's
like no contact. That's when I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you would have to think that's going to be similar, at least at best, like similar to what Diego had, where it's like 4 to 6 weeks. And hopefully for him and for their team, because they have been rolling compared to what San Jose has been the last 2 seasons. And just for our buddy Thomas's sake, I hope that he comes back soon. 75th minute. Here's the Danny turnover that he got punished for. Just like seemed like he kind of mishit this pass. It just really slowly kind of rolls away from him. San Jose picks it up. Espinoza then gets free down the right side. They play a nice through ball over the top to him, and he gets to it just before the end line. And beautiful cross finding the head of Jeremy Ebobisse, who, man, I'm getting PTSD from this. Him skying over our defenders to put in a late goal over poor Nick Lima. Like I have in the notes here, we've seen Ebobisse do this before. 2-1 San Jose at that point, and man, I was down in the dumps for about 3 minutes there. I know, like the one thing, and I've said it before, and I will continue to say it because it's the truth. You and Mike in the North End, I'm consistently impressed with y'all's ability to not take a seat and be too bummed out where you lose the energy, because I will confess, I lost almost all my hope at that point, because it just felt like, man, here we go. Like, we've been good enough. We haven't been able to put a second one past JT yet. And like the fact that they just get this one, like you look in the second half, that is basically their only time of the second half where they struck or were truly dangerous. Couple chances down at the end for them off corners, but it was just like, man, they're converting on their one opportunity, and we've had multiple, and we can't put it in the back of the net. What were your thoughts in this? Because it is only 3 minutes until we turn things around again. But what was going through your head at that point? Because visually, you look fine to me, but I know it can't be all sunshines and rainbows in your head.
I mean, yeah, you always, when you go down, you always have this like a little bit of deflation. And I could hear it around us that like people got deflated. Yeah. I think that's one reason me and Mike like stay the way we are. Like we get louder. We do that whole even louder when you're down kind of mentality.
Right.
And as Marcinkowski was walking back, we were still giving it to him.
I did see that.
Like he was walking back to take a drink, and I told him, I was like, 3 more coming. Like,
Yeah.
like don't you worry, Mike Wazowski. But yeah, I get it, and I understand that feeling. Abobasi, PTSD, totally. Like even in the first half, when you said when he missed, like
Yeah.
that's kind of where my mind was going. Was like, oh, this is gonna happen again. Oh, this is gonna happen again. Because it seems like he does it to us once a match. Like every time we play him.
It doesn't matter the team either, because when he was on Portland in 2021, I'm pretty sure he was the one, like when we went up there and got blown the fuck out at the end of the season. Didn't he brace against us in that game? I think he did.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
We have always struggled with, strikers like Abobasi, and he is like almost the prototypical guy that I want us to go out and get this summer. Whatever sort of roster gymnastics need to be done to bring in another striker. I'm not happy with Maxi. I'm not happy with Jossie. Either of those guys being our second string or having both of them as options off the bench, great. But I think like an Abobasi or better, like let's get a DP level striker in here. That may be far-fetched, and we're certainly a ways away from that summer transfer window. But, maybe we need fullback help at this point with how Adam looked last night, and we still haven't seen Hector in league play. But yeah, man, Abobasi. Luckily, 3 minutes later, then Austin goes right back on the attack. We get a corner here, 78th minute. That corner ends up being played short to Nick Lima. He crosses it in. That cross finds Leo's head and looks like it's going to the back of the net. Of course goes off the post. And then Seba really finding. That was a very 2022 Driussi goal because we know he brings the bangers from outside the box. We know he's shifty and can dribble around a couple of defenders to get into the area and slot one home. But there's multiple goals last year where he just picks up the offensive rebound, the loose ball, and he's in the right place at the right time, and he certainly was here to equalize just 3 minutes after we went down again. And that's that fight that you were alluding to at the beginning. That's what we have not seen from this team that we saw all of last year. When we saw a lot more comebacks that resulted in 3 points last season. But the comeback nonetheless is, I think that is twice, right? Down 1-0, down 2-1. To be able to pull that point away from that match and take that home with us, it is that fight, and it averted total disaster. If we lose that match last night, if we get nothing from that, I think there's just a much different tone. Whether it's the fan reactions that I'm sure are coming out tonight from the We Are Austin TV boys, we would have a different tone here. There would be a different tone on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm sure in that locker room, which honestly, I think the fans are in a better headspace than the players are right now. Because some of those quotes coming out from the players last night seemed like they're still just extremely frustrated. Felt like they played well enough to win and couldn't get it done. What was your thoughts when that goal went in, the second one? Because, Driussi hadn't scored since week 1. It's a drought for him as well, and the longest we've seen since he came into the team in 2021.
Yeah. I was kind of I was manifesting that. I don't know if it was your actual video, but I think you guys posted it on your Twitter.
Yeah, Uncle
video.
Dave.
Yeah.
Uncle Dave had that one.
So in that video, you see me holding my water bottle out.
Yeah, nice.
You know me, if I'm holding the water bottle out, that's me, I'm ready.
Believing.
Yeah. And sure enough, when Leo headed that, I thought I was about to lose it because he's probably one of my new favorite players. I love a good defender. If you're a good defensive back, that's why I love Julio. Not only are you a hardcore center back, but you can put it in the back of the net. So I was really hoping for that, but it was so good to see Driussi get his goal. We're so used to him having a goal a game almost, right? So for him to be able to be that poacher, that's when you're a poacher, that's where you make your money. Be in the right space at the right time, and it makes it easy for everybody involved. So I was pretty elated. I was looking for more confetti. I turned around looking for more confetti from you guys, but I guess you didn't bring enough. You were only
Yeah, I mean, I think no. So I threw some on the second goal, and I did exhaust all of the confetti. I was joking with Ian. That confetti, I think, had gone past the expiration date. Like I toyed with the idea of getting an entirely new bag ready and just like burning that one as a sacrifice. But brought it to the stadium, and yeah, I was like, okay, like we may get a third. I'm just gonna sacrifice all this. I gotta get this fucking March confetti out of my pocket. So yeah, maybe it just wasn't enough, or I just need to throw it more in your direction.
There you go.
Instead of just above my head having my own party.
No, it's great. I love turning around and seeing it fly.
The best is, and I think it was against Houston last year, right after the Diego free kick. The wind was such that it took the confetti down, raining on Steve Clark's head. Like, if the weather gods could provide us with a northerly wind, nothing crazy, 7-8 miles an hour, just so we could shower the opposing keepers with the confetti, or even Brad when he's down in our end. I'm sure he would appreciate the celebratory confetti. We would appreciate that. So weather gods, we know you're listening. Bring us that win. 82nd minute. Rodney Redis, in what I think is hands down his best performance as a member of this club, subbed off for Ethan Finley. Brian, I did not think I would be giving Rodney Redis a standing ovation in April 2023, but here we are. 83rd minute, Austin corner, gets taken quickly. Rigoni trying to catch them off guard a little bit, finds Driussi's head. That shot goes over the bar, kind of almost right at you guys there in the third or fourth row. 2 minutes later, this is one of the passes that Danny got right on the night. Breaks two lines, frees Emiliano Rigoni by himself coming down the left side. Ends up kind of matriculating into a 2-on-3, but Rigoni's still out in front of the pack. He tries to go near post, sails it. I think Phil West in his article call it like tried to put a scare into the north end or something like that. You got to have your head on the swivel, especially on the break. On the rewatch, I think he probably should have tried to hit Zardes at the back post. Lofted cross would have given Driussi a great chance, a great look at it. Because I don't think Marcinkowski, if that cross was anywhere near accurate, I don't think JT's coming out and getting a hand on it. And Driussi on the run, even in the advanced stage of his career, I think is the favorite to go up and win a good ball. Rigoni certainly, like I saw some people saying, well, Rigoni, and they may have been joking, I don't know, but like, well, he took back any goodwill he had for me from the first goal because he sailed that one. It's like, come on, man, like let's be a little realistic here. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's all I got on that one. I think on the rewatch, and hindsight's 2020, right? But I think the cross to Zardes was probably the move there.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the minute. Like, I turned around and looked at E. I was like, he hits Zardes, that's a goal. He hits Zardes, that's a goal. So I definitely agree. And what Rigoni was going to be, and Driussi getting his first one would have been great there.
You broke up a little bit there, but at the end I heard you say Driussi getting his first one would have been great there, and I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's just we want to see Emmy be that threat, right? At the very least, and he was that last night. 86th minute, Beeson in for Montero. 89th minute. This is where the San Jose cross, Espinoza. Those crosses are consistently dangerous coming off of his foot. That cross finds the head of John Mensah. That goes over the bar, but that was probably outside of the Abobasi goal that they did score. That was probably the other most threatening chance that they had. Big John Mensah getting his head to it. I mean, he probably should have put that away as well. And yeah, we breathing a sigh of relief there. 92nd minute, Bruin on for Alex Ring. I see people questioning the double striker move at the end of these games. I don't think it's been played to perfection by Josh. Certainly, I think I would be a fool to suggest that. But with 2 minutes remaining in stoppage time last night, I'm all for bringing on that big body and hoping that he can at least stir some things up in the box and create a chance for us. Doesn't really ever get a chance to do anything because the next minute, Ewell comes in with I thought, excessively hard foul on Driussi, right near Josh's technical area. Danny comes in and gets right in his face, little Danny Pereira, and kind of not benches clear, but both teams come and congregate on the sidelines. And one thing I did not see, but I want to go back. I didn't see it on the rewatch, but I feel like watching other people talk about it, I need to go find this. And it may not have been on the broadcast, actually. It may have been folks in the stadium commenting on it. But apparently, I think it was Beeson. Somebody accused him of slapping Nick Lima. One of the San Jose players apparently slapped him in the face. And so I think I was a little confused with Josh's post-game comments where he was like, it'll be interesting to see what the league does, pointing to fines or suspensions. And I was like, well, really on that foul? Like, Ewell got a card? Like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
If somebody did get slapped in the face, hopefully there is some review going on there. Because apparently multiple players reacted to it as well. And maybe that's what kind of escalated things over there on the sideline. Did you see any of that? What was your take on that whole brouhaha to close everything out?
Well, yeah, first of all, should have been Ewell's second yellow, right? He was the one who kicked Rodney. No, that was Cal. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should definitely have been. And I think he did get a yellow for that. And that's why Danny also got the yellow there. So fair there. I don't think it was harsh enough to go straight red.
I agree.
However, yeah, that slap is news to me. I know that even after the game, there was, people running over to the officials and congregating. Somebody got a yellow card after the whistle blew. I don't know who. But
I think it was Josh. I think it was Josh.
It has, I have to believe that it had something to do with that. If something that happened where you're going up to the officials after the game, hey, you made a big mistake and I need you to understand what happened. So I would be interested to see what happens as well. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I had thought previous to you saying that the people kind of going, the players and coaching staff going up to the official after the game was about the stoppage time, which it didn't seem like he maybe allotted as much time as we stopped to deal with that all those shenanigans. Maybe that time wasn't truly added on to that stoppage time period. But I also didn't think that's not okay. Well, we're going to get one more chance. Maybe I would have liked it, but I also don't think that was we would have won if we got 45 more seconds there. And I did think it was notable on the rewatch that Seba and Ewell immediately after the whistle were talking and being friendly. And so maybe there can certainly be interactions between players where it looks like it's friendly, but they're really saying how much, I'll fuck you up, shit like that. But it did look like a couple pats on the back. It looked like it was kind of water under the bridge in terms of the actual foul. We'll see if there's anything that comes out of a potential slap to the face. Yeah. So 2-2 draw, ended up with 55% possession in favor of Austin, which was good to see because that certainly really took hold in the second half when Austin controlled that second 45. 16 shots to 11. So 2 of the last 3 matches now we have outshot our opponents. We need to see that going forward on a consistent basis. 4-3 on target. So neither team extremely accurate with their shots last night. But you do like to see this. It is real. It's no consolation in the standings, but the XG last night, FOTMob's model B, Austin 2.17, a flat 1 XG for San Jose. So the XG models definitely indicating, confirming what we thought we saw with our own eyes, that Austin was the better team last night. But couldn't separate themselves and get the full 3 points. 10 of the 16 Austin shots were in the box, which I think is also another positive with how we know this team wants to try to score. Any takeaways from you on kind of the end of game numbers there?
Yeah, well, I'll say this first of all. I'm happy to see that both of the goals came from the quintessential Wolff ball. Like playing in those open spaces on the wings, crossing into the box to create confusion. Like, is it going to this post? Is it going to that post? And feeding off, the team's mistakes and confusion. So, I think it was a well fought, hard fought 1 point. I wish we would have got 3. I think, like I said at the beginning, I think we deserved, like we played well enough to get 3. That second goal, I think, was completely against the run of play. The second goal for San Jose was against the entire run of play. Because, like you were saying, we had so much momentum in that second half. So a little heartbroken to not get 3 points, but I'm not upset because of how we played, because we finished the fight, So
yeah, for sure. I'm looking for this one stat here, I think, and I'll shout out kind of the weekly shout out to everybody's friend of the pod, Kevin Morris, pointing out that if you look at expected goals, Emiliano Rigoni has 1 less expected goal on the season compared to Dennis Bouanga. Bouanga has 6 more actual goals.
Yeah.
But just maybe pointing to the fact that Emilio, he is generating the chances, not just with his passing, but with his positional play. And so hopefully, and he's still under, I believe, 2 XG for Rigoni, 3 for Bouanga. So just an interesting stat from, the brilliant mind of Kevin Morris, who we still want to have on this podcast. I saw your reaction there. Like, that kind of a surprising stat, right? Like, I know these analytics, the underlying statistics are not everything, but it does paint a certain picture there in terms of maybe how the luck plus skill combination with Bouanga, he's exceeding those underlying numbers like Driussi did last year. And then also illustrating that Rigoni is not as bad as everybody thinks. I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he's good, as good as I believe he is. I just don't. I think it goes to show you that there is some luck that is involved with the game. Obviously, focus is just a huge thing, right? And if the focus isn't there, confidence can shake. And I'll say it all the time, is like the biggest stat for any striker or attacker for me is confidence. Like if you have confidence, you're going to do great, because you're going to take those shots. You're not going to care if you miss, because you're going to be continually taking shots. And that's the thing about Dennis Bouanga. That dude will take a shot from anywhere on the field.
Yeah, he will.
And he is fully confident that he can put it on target, Yeah. I think Emiliano, he has confidence that he could put it on target, but I think it's starting, like, I think that goal last night is going to help that, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I also think that's probably why he went for the second goal, the brace, instead of, because you feel like, the seal is broken. Let's let it flood, so.
Hey, well, let's have confidence, not craziness.
Yeah.
There's a balance, Emmy, and he's a veteran guy. So hopefully that confidence does continue going forward, because we saw in the preseason he got that confidence going, and it is preseason, but multiple goals there. Obviously should have, especially in some of those early games at Q2, had the opportunities to put it away, and didn't. So brighter days ahead, I think, for Rigoni, and certainly a weight off his shoulders and some fan shoulders. There's a couple fans that have been believers longer than most people, and one might be sitting on this screen. Let's talk a little bit about Josh Wolff's post-game talk. Couple tidbits in there that I think are interesting, and then I do want to talk, before we get out of here, about the Austin FC 2 match, because that was a hell of a game as well on Friday. Going back to the foul, and what I've complained about over the last few games, and now Josh has as well, to the media, the treatment of Driussi from officials. And Josh said, these things have been going on for a few games. The lack of protection and respect he gets, we'll see what the league finds in those situations. Talking about I think the potential slap there. It's good to see guys back him up, stand up for your guys, and be ready to act. And that very much falls in line with how I wanted my players to back each other up when I was coaching college hoops. So I'm glad to see just that same type of fire being instilled. And as Josh being a former player, I would expect nothing less there. Do you think, again, as Mr. Certified North End official, do you think there's something there to the idea? Because obviously on the surface, you're not supposed to give players preferential treatment, but it happens in a lot of leagues, especially these professional leagues that are entertainment leagues, where the guys who make the most money typically get a more favorable whistle. And I don't think Seba has seen that over the last month or so from these PRO officials. So what's your take? Are you more on the ZG and Josh Wolff side of where like he should be getting more leeway or more protection, as Josh put it? Or do you think it's just kind of we're frustrated because maybe things aren't going our way?
I mean, that's a great question. I'll respond by saying that the first thing in the official handbook that you like when you're taking your test and everything, the official's job, all the officials on the field, all 4 on the field, your job is the safety of the players and the technical staff. So no matter who they are, they should be like safe. Like that. Right. That's your number one job. And if anybody is feeling unsafe, then you're not doing a good job as a referee. So I think that points to Josh and your sentiment of like, why is he getting crapped on? Like, why are you letting people, do these things to him and they're not being called or blah, blah, blah. And I think that's part of how Guido Gonzalez Jr. I think that's part of how he lost control last night. And I believe that, yes, star players should be like kind of treated with hand gloves, but so should every player in a sense. Like, there's a difference between, shoving and pulling with arms and hands and like going after people's legs, right? Especially in pro sports where everybody uses their legs. So do I think he should have preferential treatment over other players? No. Do I think that he should be like treated as safe as other players should be? Yes. Like, I think overall the officiating crew did a bad job at keeping the players safe. And I think it really cannot. Did I lose you again?
Just for a second there, but probably the last 5 seconds of what you said. So go ahead and repeat what you closed out with there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in the last few minutes is where it came unhinged, and I think the refereeing crew should be looked at. I think that's one great thing about pro soccer and especially U.S. soccer is they have that in place to where after every game, officials get judged just like, players do and like how their performance is. So they have oversight, which is great, but they need to do better. Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, I think oversight for me, and I was not very pro official in my day, and I don't think I would say I am now. Even if there is oversight, it's like I've never seen an official, at least like in my own games that I was playing and coaching, like when they mess up, there's no suspension, there's no you get benched, there's no that I see those dudes out reffing games the next weekend, and it doesn't work that way for players. And it doesn't work that way for coaches. And so I would respect any league that takes that oversight a little bit more seriously. and
Definitely.
maybe rotates guys. If you have a couple poor performances as a head official, maybe you drop back down, and not quietly either, right? Like the officials aren't supposed to be the show. We're not supposed to notice them, but like I would love to know if a referee screws me over. I would love to know that he got demoted for a week or two. You know what?
Right.
I'm just on an old vendetta, I guess. Some other things that Josh talked about. One was kind of some injury updates on some guys. He said Diego is maybe a couple weeks away. I'm still reading that as like 3 at least. I think a couple is like super optimistic. It's only been 2 weeks, right, since he went down. And it's just a groin is not something you rush back from. Mm-hmm. But the brighter spot there, and we saw both of these guys on the bench, was he said, Julio is ready. Rado is ready. And so I do think, and obviously we'll have the preview of the Timbers match on Wednesday night's episode, but I do think like Timbers match, we've been targeting it. That's when we get our second true center back in the 11. I think it happens next week. It's going to be an interesting conversation to have amongst fans all week. Is Julio thrust right back into the starting 11, or does Rado get out there? Because all I know is I'm going to be pretty upset if we don't have a true center back in the 11, and we're sticking poor Alex back there again after let this man breathe. Let's put him in his natural position, like finally. So it's obviously it's a great thing that those guys are coming back and that we're getting healthy, and that he doesn't seem too worried about Diego and the timeline there.
Yeah, I saw Diego was at the stadium last night, so that's nice. Cool. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like you don't rush those injuries. Like I got a groin injury as a referee once, and I was out. Like it was very humbling to be on a field with 12-year-olds and just being like, I can't.
Do you see your boy Klopp pull his hammy today celebrating that fourth goal?
Yes.
Oh, you talk about cleats to the face. How about Jota there? Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Some people were talking to me like it should have been red. I was like, again, reckless, not malicious. There's a difference.
I'm sure there are probably some Spurs fans that are on the bandwagon with me, like demote these refs. The last thing that he spoke on, and I prognosticated about this on last episode 50. And shout out to Michelle. She was tweeting this out. She said, Wolff talking about Amro Tarek. It's been difficult. He was gutted by what happened. Like we see with Kip, he's now getting games with ATX2. That's a bit of what Amro needs to some degree, keep flushing it out of his system. So I guess let's let that lead us into some talk about Austin FC 2 and their shootout victory. Still undefeated, best team in Next Pro. Friday night taking on Loons 2. Extremely long weather delay. The game was moved from 8 to 6, I think, to try to avoid the weather. Then as weather does, it changes. The storms come in right about 6. Announced, I think the first kickoff time they announced was 8:10. Then there was more lightning in the area. And I know you were out there, so I think 9:10 Central Time was the actual start of this match. I was going to be able to watch a 6 p.m. start. Had a show to go to at 9, so I only got to catch the last couple PKs here. So what did you take away from that game? What did you think about the starting 11 here and the 11 that we did see? We saw a couple changes here in this one. We saw Charlie Asensio back on the bench, Czech Toure starting in his place. We did see, I think this is the same midfield that we saw the previous one with Steve and Bobo and Valentin there in the midfield. CJ out there getting the start, David, and of course AOC up top. I guess what was your experience being out there with the weather delay? And then you talk about cards being thrown around. Czech Toure ends up getting a red card after Austin was already down 1-0. I know that turned up the heat, not just on the field, but in the stands as well. Talk to me a little bit about what went down out there at the pitch on Friday night.
First of all, congratulations to FC2 boys. They fought and they fought hard and they won, and it was excellent. They tied and then they won, but They got 2 of 3 points, which is great.
Yeah.
You want to talk about bad officiating? Like we were even saying it in the stands of like this officiating crew doesn't deserve to officiate a men's over 40 recreational league. They are. The center ref lost control in the first half. Like there wasn't a lot going on in the first half, but you could see it starting to get chippy. Mm-hmm. And then sure enough, when the second half started, both teams were just going after it.
Just bubbled over.
Yeah, and you could see that, like, us Austin FC2 fans that go out there, we love heckling. And I think we do a great job heckling.
And the players at the pitch can hear you.
Yeah. And there were even a couple of times where, you could see that we were getting to the players, like they would look up and laugh or smile or go on with us. But it was a lot of fun to be out there. The atmosphere is always great. The fight in the team that we saw, like when they went down to 10 men, mm-hmm. We were all cheering Chuck on as he walked off because we thought it was absolute bullshit. How do you take 3 steps and then go down and it's a yellow card? I don't understand that. Like there were many times where we were telling the ref that gravity is a law, not a crime. But I mean, that one kid, he was responsible for 4 yellow cards and a double yellow card to our team. So, like there was like he knew the ref was giving him that leeway, so he was going to take it all, and he took it to full effect. But I'll have to say that karma's a bitch because it came down to him, and that Damian Loss save was excellent.
Yep. Now he's playing the role of the James Harden of Next Pro, I guess. And just like James Harden, he did not win anything on the night. I guess first, let's not leave out EJ Johnson. Absolutely. I mean, fantastic equalizer there. Down a man, right? Physical steal and just driving forward, puts it on the ground, low to the left, beats the keeper, ties it up. 86th minute there. Again, down the man. Fantastic effort by the FC2 boys. And then, like you mentioned, came down to that guy and Damian Loss in the 8th round of penalties. Austin made their final 5 penalties. Damian Loss saves that 8th round attempt from Minnesota. Damian Loss, man, I mean, we've been singing his praises for a couple weeks now. He continues to be stellar. And look, it's no knock to Matt Bersano, right?
Sure.
But it really feels like if we need somebody to come in for Brad, why would it not just be Damian? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel the same way.
I'm just really glad that he has stuck with our club to this point to where we can start getting him those competitive minutes because I don't think Damian Loss had ever made a match day roster, if I'm correct. If I recall that correctly, but he's going to make some in the future. I'll tell you that. Just really excited to continue watching this team. I will say, unfortunately, as I'm watching the Next Pro table while we're talking, Rapids 2 has now passed us in terms of being in first place. They took down North Texas. Those bums. Yeah. 4-2. So we're both now on 16 points, but they have 5 wins to our 4, and a goal differential of +8 to our +7. But looking ahead for Austin FC2, and obviously we will preview this coming weekend's match. This is the second, I should say, of 4 opportunities this season for the second team to go on the road to the same destination as the first team. We saw that in Carson 2 weeks ago. Now we see it, Austin FC2 going to take on Timbers 2 this coming Sunday. And I mentioned the Rapids now just passing us, tied on points for the lead in Next Pro. Next weekend on the road, Rapids 2. So some big-time games coming up for Verdos. And I think they're probably going to continue to do pretty well because they do. I mean, this is a deep squad, man. Like we've got guys, we've got dudes. Anything else for you on FC2 before we close it out?
I mean, I think they do a good job of playing Wolff ball, man. Like they
do.
They play it to a T. Like
yeah.
they find those spaces. They're quick. They're fast, and they're patient. So I'm actually going to be in Portland for the Portland game.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we're going to go to the Portland 2 game. The FC.
Nice.
I say FC, so I like that you say Verdos. Yeah, so we'll be there. Have a small contingent of folks going.
Hell yeah. On the ground correspondent.
Yeah,
I love it. And you guys are going to stick around till the Seattle first team match, right?
Yeah. So actually, me and my wife, we planned this trip. Like we started planning it before the end of last year. Like we were like, we want to do a trip to the Redwoods in the Pacific Northwest. She had never seen it. And I was like, hey, it would be really cool if there were some Austin games that we could check. Like we could plan around one of them. And I was like, it'd be really cool if Portland and Seattle were really close to each other. And this was like in November when we were talking. And so when it came out in December and they were 11 days away, we were like,
MLS provides.
So yeah, we're flying into Portland. We're going to do a road trip down the Pacific Coast Highway from Portland to LA. And then we're going to fly from LA to Seattle. So
nice, man. Well, that sounds like a blast. Looking forward to you bringing that good Wuju up there to the Pacific Northwest. We sure as hell could use it. Some points out of that region.
Yeah.
That region has not been kind to us, I guess.
We haven't even scored a goal up there, have we?
Have we? I don't think so. No. No, we did. I mean, man, I will say this before we get out of here. Yeah. The draw at Seattle in our first year, one of my favorite ties of all time.
Yeah, the 0-0 draw. It was great.
Yeah.
Because we thought we were going to get our pants beat off of us.
Yeah. Oh, no, shit. That might happen in a couple weeks, too. We'll see. Hey. Seattle's playing pretty well. They should still be without Rui Diaz.
Every game's different.
We'll save the Sounders preview for a couple weeks from now. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Help us grow the channel. You can hit the notification bell to know when a new live stream pops up or an episode goes live. And of course, on this video, you saw B doing it. The 2 thumbs up. Hit that like button. Help us grow the channel. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Wash yourselves clean. Atone for your sins in the waters brought by Brian to the North End. We will be back on Wednesday night previewing the match against Portland Timbers, the match against Portland Timbers 2, and discussing the week that was in MLS Week 10. We'll have our best ball update. I think it went pretty well for the good guys this week, Brian. We'll have the betting recap and the Week 11 picks all on Wednesday's episode. Hopefully E will get situated for Wednesday's episode, find some Wi-Fi out there in the hill country, and continue to enjoy his ride with our boys, Pete and Taylor, who, by the way, Ty last night had a great time at the game, though. They had a great time, and that is what counts. Appreciate everybody tuning in, rocking with us here on episode 51 of the North End Podcast. Appreciate you, B, for jumping on short notice. We always know we can count on you in the North End. Today was no different. Appreciate you, my friend. So we will talk to you guys on Wednesday. He's Brian. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.